Sairam to you all.
Sairam.
It's great to be here. I noticed in the introduction they didn't mention my age. You see, used to say the post-young adult. Anyway. We're here in the name of God. God the beneficent, God the merciful, God the mighty, God the majestic, God the creator, God the forgiver, God the all-knowing, God the subtle one, the appreciative one, the responsive one, the generous one, the most glorious God. And we've had the opportunity to be here with God in the past, in the present, and in the future. You have been called by God. What more can I say? Sairam. So I'll say it. I have a few more things to say. God speaks in the Bhagavad Gita, and he says, "Thickly veiled by my divine Maya, I am not revealed to all. This deluded world knows me not as the unborn and eternal. O Arjuna, I know the beings of the past, present, and future, but no one knows me." So, with that, Swami has also shown us, even though no one knows Swami, he's also allowed us to know him in certain ways. And I'm very, very moved by this book from the 1940s called Anandadayi. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but it contains some dialogues with devotees in the most intimate way. And Swami one evening was being very, very gracious, giving everything. And there was really nothing that anyone more could desire. And the moment was kind of shimmering there, and it was all standing there. And the devotees were saying, "Oh, Baba, you've given us everything, this is such a glorious moment, we should cherish this, we should hold this forever." And Swami said, "Yes, when grace is overflowing, you should hold it. When I give you opportunities, what should you do?" This is us. Wendy was speaking earlier. What should we do? This is us. What should we do? And Swami says, you should think. Swami is showering us with so much grace on us. Should we not follow his commands? Should we not get a good name from him? And then going even more intimate, he says to them, and when I think about this, my heart kind of shakes. I like to think about this every day. He says, "You know who I am. I know who you are. Do others know this? Others have not understood me." So, even in our incomplete understanding, there's something where we can grasp on, where we've managed to hold through the grace of God. We've managed to hold on to our connection with God. And so, speaking about knowing who God is, I wanted to tell this story since I've been in sort of the Northeast area for many decades. And up at Bard College in the early 70s was a young student, and he had just been to see Swami. He had many interviews with Swami. Swami had just poured out to him, and he'd come back to college, and he was just full of Swami. And so one night, dorm security in those days wasn't too good, and one night a robber appears with a gun in the room, and he points the gun to him and says, give me your stuff, give me everything." And so what does he do? He says, "Sai Baba, I know you're in this man." Generally we say, do not try this at home. These are professionals. The fellow's like shaking, like, "Don't give me that, I'll kill you, give me, And he says, "Sai Baba, I know you're in this man." And finally the robber gets so exasperated, he shoots the gun at him. And the gun fires, and there's a big explosion. And everyone's sort of looking, the robber's looking at him, he's looking at the robber. Nothing happened. And the robber said, and he ran out of the room. He was so disoriented after that, he got caught. And the bullet was lying on the floor in the center of the room. And as I said, don't try this at home. So another story of, the East comes to the West. In SUNY Purchase, which isn't another college, which isn't so far from here, there was a devotee. He's the son of Christine Kanakis of the Poughkeepsie Center. He was a music student and very devoted to Swami. And it was a double room kind of thing. There were 4 students. And one of the students was extremely difficult. The other 3 were having a terrible time with this student. And they didn't know what to do. And it turns out at this time that student was taking a nap, and the other 3 students were talking. And who should appear in the dorm room at SUNY Purchase? Swami himself. And this devotee saw Swami, and Swami spoke, but the key was the 2 non-devotees also saw Swami. And Swami spoke to all 3 of them as to what they should do about the 4th, who was sleeping. So it sort of captures that you know me, others don't know me. And there's that aspect in life. So even amongst those that don't have the opportunity to know Swami, there's opportunities for them to have their heart open in certain ways. And so I wanted to take something from a talk that was given at the Syracuse College a couple of months ago. I don't know how many of you saw it online. It was a commencement address from George Saunders, who was an author. One person. Okay, I can get away with this then. So it starts out something like this. It basically says, he's in a kind of a humorous mode. He said, graduation commencements go something like this. In the course of life, you have some old guy comes, and in the course of life, he made a series of dreadful mistakes. That would be me. He gives his heartfelt advice to a group of shining, energetic young people with all of their best years ahead of them. That would be you. I intend to respect that tradition of commencement speakers. He says, now a useful thing you can do with an older person is ask, looking back, what do you regret? And they'll tell you. Sometimes, as you know, they'll tell you even if you haven't asked. And sometimes even when you specifically requested that they not tell you, they'll tell you. So, what do I regret? He says, I don't regret working for, poor pay or terrible jobs or whatever. He regrets not being kind. There are, particularly when you're young, those sear in your mind. Those moments, hopefully they're very few. Hopefully they're 0. But I know for myself, those moments stick. They take up a little gnawing part way back here, and decades later they gnaw ever so slightly. So I'm saying, free yourself from that. Don't go there. Don't have any of that baggage. So, looking on it from the other way, who in your life do you remember most fondly, with the most undeniable feelings of warmth? Those who are kindest to you. As a goal in life, you can do worse than try to be kinder. Now the million-dollar question, what's our problem? Why aren't we kinder? Each of us is born with a series of built-in confusions. For instance, we're central to the universe. That is, our personal story is the main and most interesting story. The only story, really. We're sort of stuck with this idea. And second, we're stuck with an idea that we're separate from the universe. There's us, and there's them, out there, dogs, swing sets, the state of Nebraska, low-hanging clouds. That's all outside of me. And the third delusion is that we're permanent. Death is real for you, but maybe not for me so much. Now, we really don't believe these things. Intellectually, we know better, but we believe them viscerally and live by them, and they cause us to prioritize our own needs over the needs of others, even though what we really want in our hearts is to be less selfish, more aware of what's actually happening in the present moment, being more open, being more loving. So, how might we go about doing this? This is again Wendy's question. How should we go? Well, obviously there are ways, and we have the blessing of Swami, who can give us volumes, tens of volumes, thousands of answers. You can't even possibly even begin to consider all the ways that we could become more kind, less selfish. So you have to pick a few along the way. There are ways you already know that in your life there have been high kindness periods and low kindness periods. In other words, we want to go higher and higher and higher. Because kindness, it turns out, is kind of hard. It starts out all rainbows and puppy dogs and expands to include, well, everything. One thing in our favor, some of us become kinder happens almost naturally. With age, it becomes a simple matter of attrition. As we get older, we come to see how useless it is to be selfish. How illogical, really. We come to love other people and are thereby, we drop that idea of our centrality. And so, a prediction and a heartfelt wish to you. As you get older, yourself will diminish and you will grow in love. You will gradually be replaced by love. So, since your life is going to be a gradual process of becoming kinder and more loving, hurry up. Speed it along. Start right now. There's a confusion in each of us, a sickness, really, selfishness. But there's also a cure. So be good and proactive and even somewhat desperate patient on your own behalf. Seek out the most efficacious anti-selfishness medication energetically for the rest of your life. Remember that luminous part of you that exists beyond your personality, your soul, if you will, is as bright and shining as any that has ever been. Clear away everything that keeps you secret from this secret, luminous place. Believe it exists, come to know it better, nurture it, share it tirelessly. So, in other words, in the outer world, people have these realizations. Now, we have an even greater blessing than that. We have Swami. He's attracting us. He's pulling us. He's like an electromagnet. He turns on the electricity, and the iron filings, that's us, we all jump. We all, boom, come together. He turns off the electricity, we drop like rocks. He does it up, does it down, up it down, up it down. I've told this story many times, but probably can get away with one more time. Swami used to tell us, he said, I'm like the Indian Dhobi. Those of you that remember the old style, maybe they still do it for a party, I don't know. They take the laundry way above their head. And there's a rock, a solid rock, and they bring it down hard on that rock. Swami says, I'm like the Indian Dhobi. I bring them way high, way up into the sky. And then I bring them down hard. Then I bring them way up into the sky. And I bring them down hard. And I do this over and over until finally they're clean. And then I hang them out to dry. That's our Swami. So he's doing the work, and occasionally we're protesting along the way. We're saying, oh, this is so uncomfortable. Why is this happening to me? Oh, it's why me? Look, this person over here, he's not having this problem. What about me? So the truth is, of course, that to escape duality is a very, very hard business. We're kind of stuck in duality. High, low, side, this way, deep, whatever. To transcend the dualities, to get to all is one, is not easy. If all is one, that means everything is part of the one. The good, the bad, the ugly. It's all one. If there's still parts that give us pain, we're not quite there to all is one. So to get there, we have to, like how a rocket escapes a gravitational field. You have to throw everything into it to escape this gravitational field. You have to push. Your rocket has to be going. So we need to do that. We need to do that with all our might. This is the purpose of our life. I often say that God isn't the Easter Bunny. This is the real thing. It's the full thing. Old age and sickness, death, as Swami said, as Buddha said, in Swami form, you might say. One time I had a dream in which Swami came, and I had this, psychologists would say it's a cognitive error. I roll this over and over in my mind. Oh, nothing, something will go bad. And I'd say, oh, nothing can save me. Nothing can save me. Nothing can save me. Which, of course, is ridiculous, particularly for a Baba devotee. But anyway, it's an old, bad mental hygiene, you might say. So I kept doing this, and then Swami sort of probably got annoyed. He called my bluff. He said, nothing can save you. And myself and a grammar school friend were there. We're crying and crying because Swami has just said, nothing can save you. And then he said, but nothing can hurt you. So it means you're God. There's nothing to be saved. In the final thing, nothing can hurt you. No matter how bloody and horrible it is, whatever it is. It's all God, God, God. Hopefully we can get there in this life. So, I want to end with something from Sai Speaks, Volume 12, and it was reprinted in the Sai Sarti of the newsletter of the Mid-Atlantic region. So you local folks have probably read this already. But it was Swami speaking to some people who were complaining that their meditation and sadhana wasn't coming to fruition. And he says, oh, why am I not able to concentrate Bhagavan? Oh, help me to fix my mind. And they were bewailing. And Swami says, do not get impatient and bewail. Instead, you must make the mind pure and clean so that God himself will be tempted to possess it. He is the chora, the thief of the heart. And then Swami gets intimate here. I think you've probably heard this part about God as the thief, as Krishna. But here is, I think, the twist here. It says, when thieves enter the house, they select things of value. They will not bother with firewood and charcoal bags. God, too, when he comes in the role of a thief, looks for the most precious thing. The thing that he values most, the thing that you have taken most pains to foster. He carries away the pure thoughts, the deeds soaked in the sweetness of sympathy and compassion, and the feelings of love who do not crave anything. God is no ordinary thief. This thief, Swami, makes people richer by his theft, richer in happiness, serenity, and self-esteem. The more you love this thief, the more he steals. He wakes up the sleeping and then steals what the household has kept for him. This is what I think is really nice. You know the thief is there, and you keep for him to come and steal, because you don't know when he's going to come. He comes like a thief in the night, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever. He comes like a thief, you don't know. He says, often people pretend to be asleep so that he may come and steal the things that you have kept for that very purpose. So this is our Swami, so intimate, so loving, so complete, so deeply embedded in our lives, before, during, after, beyond, above, beyond. There's really nothing more to say other than I'm very, very happy to be here, and I wish everyone the best in their sadhana and realizing Swami in their lives. Jai Sai Ram.